you think marriage is important in 2023?
Yes, I don't think it means the same as it used to for everybody. It's obviously, it comes from a religious stance, and it's, for a lot of people, it's not about that anymore. It's important for people to have that bond and to be able to celebrate it in the way that they want to do it. I don't think it means the same as it used to, but I do think it's important for people that want to do it. I don't think people have to do it at all.
Welcome, brothers. In this video, we want to showcase various aspects of the modern woman, from the single woman to the married one and the feminist. We aim to explore how the modern woman experiences empowerment today, their lives in this new society of empowered modern women. But before we proceed, brothers, we need your support in achieving our goal for the coming months of reaching 50,000 subscribers. We want our family to keep growing, so please support us by subscribing and liking the video, as this helps YouTube recommend our content more. Don't forget to leave your comments. Without further ado, let's begin.
I've always known that by walking my own path, I was never going to be surrounded by a lot of people, but I was going to be surrounded by the right people. I am so in awe of the most recent generation who are so unafraid to walk their own path. What I wouldn't give to have been as brave as they are when I was their age. I've known for a long time that I'd never be surrounded by a huge social circle. I mean, I've known this since I was a child because it just never happened for me. Growing up, it was like I had like a core group of friends, but I still would only be really close to one or two of them. And then I had friends in other groups, but no matter where I was centered, I was always in the periphery. When I was younger, I think it really bothered me, but in my adulthood, I've not only come to accept it, but I've come to value it. The folks that I become close to are so incredibly special to me, and they have value systems and characteristics and personalities that I wish that I can embody. There's nothing like being surrounded by folks who inspire you to be a better person. I've known that not conforming to the traditional expectations of what a woman should be was going to mean that I would reach an age where I didn't quite fit in. I don't have children, so I don't really fit into those spaces, and I'm not married, so, you know, the whole couples thing, I'm not a couple. I was talking about this on a live the other night, and somebody commented that it sounds very lonely. And sometimes it is. I have my moments, but I think there's not only this perception that a woman should have children and be married and conform to these societal expectations, but there's also the societal expectation that we should feel lonely if we don't. And 99% of the time, I don't feel lonely because I know that when I am with my people, they're the right people. And I know that I can have an incredible time going out and doing things on my own. And the people in my life who support me using my voice, who support my content, they are the ones who have longevity. That's the relationship that I want to invest in. Those folks are proud of me for walking my own path.
In a nutshell, you record yourself with a camera intending to find more women like you on the wall. It's like the saying, birds of a feather flock together. In this case, we all know that the wall is unforgiving. Brothers, something I notice in this video is that she talks in a way that portrays herself as a victim of the situation. It's like someone who is poor. You ask them why they're doing so poorly, and they blame everyone but themselves and their habits. Why does everyone have to be at fault except me? This woman surely always had an expectation of what her life would be like. Now she says that people in her situation are brave, but in reality, that's not the case. There's a difference between choosing a path and having a destiny imposed on you. If she was in a relationship with a man and left him to choose solitude, it's respectable and understandable that you chose that path. But it's entirely different if no man seeks you out and you say you decided to be alone. What we see happening to her is happening to many women who idealize the perfect man, those seeking a superior man, or those who simply reject every average man around them. Remember, brothers, by 2030, more than 45% of women will be single, so seeing women like this on the wall will be an everyday occurrence. because the wall is unforgiving.
Anybody ever left somebody during a tough season in their life?
Has anybody else ever been with a man that was so keen on being the idea of what a man is that it actually created a lack of space for you in his heart? I was with this amazing guy who just happened to be down on his luck. And I knew that. I knew that things were going to turn around for him. I was willing to wait because I saw him putting in the effort to better his life. So many men deem their value and their worth in money. The fact that this guy just didn't have the money at the time meant that he saw himself as less, meant that he cared about himself less. Because you can only care about somebody else to the degree that you love yourself, he started showing me that he was loving me less every day. Just because there wasn't the emotional space inside of him for me, because that was consumed with him trying to be the idea of what a man is by society's standards. So I had to love me more.
I must acknowledge that this woman has a point. Society has long been telling men that they need to be the providers, which instills in men the idea that without money, they have no value. It's hard for a man not to think this way, especially when we are born without any social value, unless you were born with privileged genetics. If not, you'll just be one of many. This mindset leads many to focus solely on acquiring wealth. However, when she talks about men as if they never love, I have to tell you, lady, that if a man doesn't open his heart to you, it's because you're not the right woman for him, and deep down he knows it. Regarding what the brother said, it's a reality today. A man knows that in moments of weakness, if the woman doesn't genuinely love him, she will leave. Women are experts at jumping ship before it sinks. Just look at the number of men who have been in a bad economic position, and the women who, after 10 years or more of marriage, choose to divorce at their worst moment, or men who fall ill, and their women decide to leave them. As a man, seeing these cases and knowing how female hypergamy works, which we all know is unforgiving, how can one change the mentality of not finding one's self-worth in money, knowing that the moment you lack it, you lose everything? It's harsh, but it's reality.
The thing I love about the Sprinkle Sprinkle lady is that she's teaching this like dark feminine stuff, but she is reiterating and reiterating and reiterating and reiterating that the reason why you should be doing this, the reason why you should be jumping through the mental hoops that you have to jump through to be this man-eater persona is so that you can get something out of it. If you are studying up on the Sprinkle Sprinkle lady just to get a guy who has nothing going for him to fall in love with you because you want him to fall in love with you because you think your life is going to look like this Taylor Swift song because Brian is like the cutest boy in your neighborhood and you're going to feel like you're, at an all white party in the fucking Hamptons if he's your boyfriend and he loves you. That is not why we're learning this information, okay? Because that doesn't exist. That's not a thing. That's a Taylor Swift song, okay? We're not using these things to get a man to love us. That is often what happens because we're basically hacking psychology and hacking sociology. And the thing is with men and women and dating dynamics, especially with men, is that it is largely psychological and sociologically driven. As we live in a society and have lived in a society since like the dawn of history, specifically in America, that has been catering towards men, and everything has been suppressing women and what we know about ourselves and enabling men and allowing them to not really have any kind of real empathy or self-reflection, So even if men aren't intentionally bad people, even if they're not intentionally misogynistic, even if they're not intentionally taking advantage of women, they have this conditioning, which we all have the conditioning to an extent, but they have this conditioning that is inherently patriarchal and misogynistic. So basically what we're doing is we're hacking the psychology behind that to get a means to our own ends. Okay? Because we have been stuck in this loop that we have also been conditioned into. So we're breaking out of this gender dynamic matrix. That is the reason for these dark feminine videos. That's the reason for this. It's about reclaiming power. But there's no point in reclaiming power and putting yourself through all of these efforts if the end goal is just to get a guy to love you. Because we are wanting and asking and demanding more out of life than that at this point. Okay? We're untraining, we're unconditioning, and we're taking power back. That's what it's all about. All hail Sprinkle Sprinkle Lady!
Too many words to ultimately say nothing of sense. It's that the modern woman, especially those of the colorful hair movement, thinks that if a man is masculine by nature, it oppresses them. But the reality today is that there are many effeminate men or simps that they don't like, and they end up being with the Chad, a man who brings nothing to the table but his seed, due to his masculinity or narcissism. Here I ask myself, how many movements are there today of women who have a new way of thinking for society every day? From Barbie girls to now Sprinkle ladies, tomorrow there will be another one, because the advertising of artists and current movies is directed towards women's empowerment and the weakening of men. That's why they go after guys like Andrew Tate, who are not willing to be blindfolded and watch men being destroyed. It's that now in this society. There are so many spoiled girls who come with the mentality that by merely existing, they deserve everything, when they contribute nothing valuable. Women who live in fantasies, imagining what a perfect relationship would be like, when sometimes they haven't even been in a relationship with a man. Brothers, stay away from these capricious women, or from those girls who believe they deserve everything just for being a woman.
Lately my content has changed. There's a lot less homemaking stuff going on, less like cooking for my husband. And like the truth is, like you can't bake for someone who's never here. It's changing because the dynamics of our relationship are changing. And he's not here. So, and as far as being a tradwife goes, I don't even think that counts anymore because there's nothing traditional about the way our life is or the way that things are set up for us. So, you know, usually in a traditional marriage, like the husband comes home and the wife will cook dinner and all those things. None of that is happening. There's nobody to cook for it. There's just myself and a toddler that barely eats. And on top of that, she's now starting like private school. So I don't even have her in the mornings and I have time to myself for the first time in many, many years. My family is just different. Things are just different now. Favorite ones to do are just like welcoming my husband home. Everyone loves those videos. They always do well on the algorithm. And of course I'm still going to do those for sure. But as far as like cooking videos, I'll probably not do as many because I have no one to cook for.
Then they complain about being oppressed for staying at home. This woman's husband has a job that doesn't allow him to come home for lunch, and their child is at school. This means she doesn't have to cook as much or do as many household chores because they don't spend much time at home. She can go to the gym, read, learn a new skill, or even start a business because she has a husband who takes care of the expenses. Brothers, what a good life this woman has. Yet we hear women complain that staying at home is the worst thing for a woman, when there are women who have to work 8 hours a day, pay their own bills, and on top of that, have to come home to prepare food to take with them, or even have to buy it, sometimes not even eating on time because of work, and dealing with bosses who sometimes don't want to know much about you. This, brothers, is a privilege, but women have been deceived by these new modern women who keep sending messages that staying at home is the worst thing for a woman, worrying about what will happen if the man leaves them. Of course, because men are always leaving women. When we know that 80% of divorces are initiated by women. With these statistics, who is leaving whom, brothers? Being at home is a privilege for a woman. Just look at her. She doesn't even know what to do with all her free time.
Story time. Okay, so my marriage was almost destroyed by this very same thing too. So my husband and I will be married 14 years this year. We didn't figure out our marriage until a year and a half ago. So we had constantly been fighting about intimacy. Like every fight was about intimacy. I was having such a struggle with my lack of sex drive, with my hormones being imbalanced. I treated sex like a chore. It was awful. And I didn't realize the importance that it placed on my husband. So we had actually gotten into the biggest fight we'd ever got last year. Well, my husband had found something on TikTok, of all places, and he shared it with me. It was this mood-boosting libido gummy. It does things like boost your mood, increases your libido, gives you a little bit of focused energy, all while balancing your hormones. So he had sent this to me about 5 months prior to this gigantic fight. Well, the huge reason why our intimacy was lacking was because my husband was traveling for work. Kind of hard to be intimate when he's away. So we had this biggest fight. we've ever had, like brink of separation kind of fight. And so I was like, you know what, God, I need something. I need something. Well, the gummies passed through my way again. I was like, you know what, this time I'm gonna get them. When I'm telling you that they literally changed our marriage, I'm not even lying. Like, literally, we had 30 days of straight intimacy. They came in the mail, I started taking them, and I was like, whoo! I even had to stop taking them for a few days. They worked that way. And you know what? They have balanced out my hormones and helped me so much that to this day, a year and a half later, I still take them, and they still work, baby. And guess what? Our marriage is the best it's ever been. We are both the happiest we've ever been. So if you're struggling in your marriage with intimacy, and you're like, I need something to help me with my sex drive. I need something to help my brain and my body to match up. I really recommend you give these little babies a try. Head to my profile stand store. You can't miss them.
Finally, a woman who acknowledges that she is the one ruining her marriage. Let me tell you, this happens more often than you think in a marriage. Women who suddenly don't want to be with their husband, or when they do it grudgingly, making the man feel guilty and undesired. Let me tell you, there's nothing that bores a man more than having to endure the complaints and needs of a woman, and on top of that, not having any intimacy. It's like a job where you only have the burdens, without any pay or benefits. This woman quickly understood that she is the problem. Many women blame their husbands because, as we know, everyone else must be at fault but them. Let me tell you, a dead bedroom is the main reason a man asks for a divorce. It's like the guy who made a piggy bank and put $1 in it every time he was intimate with his wife, to give her a gift. In a whole year, he only managed to buy her a McDonald's hamburger. You can imagine that there was everything in that house except action. I would have asked for a divorce because life is too short, brothers, to be with a woman who doesn't give you what you want. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. Why do you think women are ending up alone? Do you believe that a man's value is associated with money? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from the wall.